Yeah. This is like a very raw thing I'm about to share. But I
Mhm.
think that it goes well into this part of the conversation that we're having. And since I've been an open book on this podcast up till now, I figure why not? But I
Yeah.
remember in my early 20s, I was in a
Mhm.
relationship and I remember having this thought one day. And I think it stuck with me because I don't know where it originated and I don't know why I even had it. But I remember thinking like, gosh, I bet he would rather be doing so many other things right now than hanging out with me. And it was like
Wow.
almost like in that moment, I felt bad for him that he was hanging out with me instead of doing something else or hanging out with somebody else. And I have no idea where that came from. And it's such a sad thought. Like, who would want to think that? Why did I think that? Why did I think I wasn't like great enough to be spending time with or to be in a relationship with? I don't know. So that just kind of jumped in my head as you were talking about all of that.
That's the phantom critic. And my question to you would be, when did you feel that before? Because
Yeah.
here's the thing, the messages we get that are the strongest in our childhood often are never verbally spoken to us. We hear them loud and clear. Our
Mm.
parent may never say, I'd rather be doing something else than spending time with you, right? Well, I
Mhm.
mean, some parents might, but most parents, good, loving
Yeah.
parents would never say that. But sometimes we get those messages loud and clear. And so I
Mhm.
wonder where in your life prior to this relationship you received
Yeah.
that message that this person doesn't really want to be with me.
Yeah. I do too. I mean, again, I have not thought about that in probably years and it for some reason jumped into
Mhm.
my head as you were speaking. So, yeah,
Mhm.
but I mean, it's weird thinking about these like little moments that stick with us as we go through life and age and some of them we just remember over and over and then some
Yeah.
jump into our minds at the most I imagine it's not a coincidence that I just thought of that right now. It's because
Right.
you're,
Yeah.
stirring something up with all of your wisdom. But yeah, it is crazy the things that, I think subconsciously that we pick up on and that become a part of our behavior, whether we realize it or not.
Yeah, and that was a perfect example that you just gave because when you're sitting with him and he's probably enjoying his time with you and you're thinking, he doesn't even want to be with me, you're responding to him as if he doesn't want to be with you. And so you
Right,
may
right.
be micro rejecting him or responding to him in certain ways that he will experience as off and not know. And then maybe he creates his own meaning for why you're showing up
Right.
that way. And that's how we get that disconnection in our relationships. And it comes from
Mhm.
shame. It comes from shame.
Yeah. So, what what advice do you give? How do you help coach your clients through working through this so they can get, can you completely let go of this complex shame? Can you get on the other side of it?
Yes, absolutely. And that's why I wrote my book. That's why I do my podcast. I've developed an 8 step, it's really 9 steps when you include maintenance, steps for overcoming complex shame. And it starts with
Okay.
going back to those stories, that story that just triggered yourself, in your mind,
Mhm.
going back to understanding what are those stories the phantom critic is telling me. Start to label them, understand what type of shame you have because there's a number of different types of shame. There's like racial identity shame, there's religious shame, there's body shame, there's gender shame,
Mhm.
there's imposter syndrome shame. There's so many different types of shame. So
Mhm.
understanding what type of shame you have and then working on untangling the blame. And this one is hard because whether we contributed to our shame or somebody else victimized us in some way, shape, or form, what we often do is blame, especially when you have complex shame,